Welcome back to HowToAV.tv. We're joined over the line by Daniel Branton of AV Expert CYP. Dan, welcome to HowToAV. Thanks for joining us.
No problem at all, Chris. Pleasure to be with you.
So today we're going to talk about HDMI standards. Now, if you go online today and ask, are all HDMI cables the same, you're going to get 10,000 arguments that tell you that they're all the same and they all do exactly the same thing. But there are a number of different standards, and Dan's going to clear it all up for us as to what those differences are. Now, let's start off with standard, because I can't see it on the list. Whatever happened to standard HDMI, Dan?
Yeah, so over the years, the format of HDMI, the specification of the cable has changed. So realistically, we used to work in numbers. You would have 1 point this, 1 point that, and we've now moved on to the worded terms. So that's why you don't really find standard anymore. If you go on to one of the most useful information for independent HDMI information is HDMI.org, and they now start with the ones we'll discuss today. So standard is sort of a thing of the past, and we've now got a few key ones to look for depending on what you require.
And I guess the first one then, standard has now become high speed, is that right?
Yeah, so high speed HDMI is the starting point. So realistically, high-speed HDMI is designed for 1080p content. It can do things like 4K 30, it can do 3D and a few other bits, but realistically, it's designed for 1080p. So if you've got a standard 1080p Blu-ray player and a 1080p display, then you're likely to require just a high-speed HDMI cable.
And then as well as standard high speed, there's also high speed with Ethernet, Dan.
There is high speed with Ethernet, that's right. So that's an additional channel that's running through the HDMI cable that can deliver Ethernet between a source and a screen. Now, in reality, it's not a very used format. I can't think of any real life environment now where that would be used, but a lot of high speed cables now have the Ethernet channel built into it as well.
And what about compatibility with high speed and high speed with Ethernet? Do they both work despite?
Exactly right, yeah, there's no compatibility issues. So if it has Ethernet but you're not using it, not a problem. It just won't use that part of the data. But there's no compatibility issue between a high speed and a high speed with Ethernet.
So then let's move on to premium high speed cable. When are we going to use that, Dan?
So premium is basically a specification again. So premium means that it meets higher levels. So with that, for example, there is a program run called HDMI certification. So you can purchase a premium certified cable, which means that it's been certified to perform at a higher level. What this is useful for is formats like 4K, UHD, HDR, Dolby Vision, and all of the newer formats, especially with the much wider color spacing that they now have. So a premium cable can deliver up to 18 gigabits of information, of data through that cable, which, as I say, allows for those formats I mentioned like 4K and UHD. So that's why you would look for a premium cable if you're using those higher spec products. Premium certified just means that it has been certified to meet all of the criteria for that cable. So you know that cable is going to perform as they advertise it.
And then just like high speed with Ethernet, there is also premium high speed and premium high speed with Ethernet, yeah?
That's right. Again, there's no compatibility issue between them, and in today's world, it's unlikely anyone's going to really use the Ethernet channel in the HDMI cable, but it would be there just if you needed it in the future. But again, there's no compatibility issue between the two.
And then the latest and the greatest version right now is Ultra. I have no idea where the next name's going to come from, but now we're at ultra high speed, Dan.
That's right, so Ultra is designed realistically for the new HDMI 2.1 specification, which is a real buzzword right now. So the latest games consoles, for example, and the latest displays will tend to be launched with an HDMI 2.1 feature. So an ultra high speed cable means that it can pass much higher rates of data through the cable. So it's actually up to 48 gigabits of information through that cable. So that means it's capable of things like 8K 60 Hertz, 4K 120 Hertz, which is perfect for things like PS5 and Xbox Series X. But it can also do things like VRR, which is variable refresh rate, and it has an auto low latency mode as well. So again, all of that has been designed for the latest technologies to make sure that it can do it. And again, there's an ultra certification program. So if you look on the front of the packaging for your ultra certified cable, there will be a QR code. And when you scan that, That will take you through to a third party, that's HDMI.org, and it will tell you all of the features that that cable can do. So you can buy it in confidence knowing that it will meet the specifications of the Ultra certification.
So with the help of Dan, we've put together a really detailed blog that's going to help you choose the right cable for your system, the right HDMI standard that's going to work.